It has been several months since I've had this car running. Just got it running. We're gonna do some work on it. Now this car's always had the longest issue where it has a loss of power when warmed up. I haven't been able to track that. I noticed the timing was all being weird, so we did put a new distributor on here, but that didn't fully solve the issue. That made the power a lot better, but when it warmed up, we still hit the other issue. We also have a new coil. It wasn't a coil issue. Now, last time I drove this, I noticed the choke blades were not fully up. So let's pay attention to that on this Weber 38 DGAS. So inside the car, it is rattling pretty good, and as I rev it, watch the RPMs. They're dropping pretty bad, and it's not that very responsive. It's like, you know, it's hitting a little bit of a wall. So let's pop the hood, let's take a look at the choke. So right now, testing battery voltage, we're just over 12, about 1230, which is perfect. Now if I take this and I put this lead on the choke, now we're down to 11, like mid 11s. So we're losing a little bit of voltage. I don't know if that would necessarily be quite enough to cause the element in here not to heat up. Maybe we are losing voltage on this wire while we're driving. So just took it for a little rip in the neighborhood. Battery output, because of the alternator, we're at almost 14. Perfect. But I check here, and now we're at about 12.3 where the battery was before. So we do have some voltage drop on this wire. Now, is it enough to cause me issues? I don't know, but I just went for a good rip, and as soon as I got back to the house, it started doing it again. You know, now it's running good, but it did it again. Let's just keep investigating. So I have the voltmeter hooked up to the choke. We're down to 11 volts and it's acting up a bit. Yep. Let's see if we can get up this hill. Watch my tack. It's just backfiring. No power. Took the top off. Choke blades are up. The accelerator pump is working, and I have a feeling it's going to work now. Yep. Doesn't sound the same, so let's take a look on the engine bay. So that is fully open, so that seems to be working. You know, even if we lose voltage intermittently, it would still be hot in here, so it would stay open until it cools off, which takes a little bit for that to actually cool off. Yeah, I don't think it's a choke thing. And now we're back to the house, and it revs just fine. Interesting. So I think I figured out what's causing it. Under high, heavy acceleration, and then when you get off the throttle, something's happening, and I don't know, it's just not able to hold an idle, and it's not able to rev. It's like it's getting way too much air, not enough fuel. So if I rev this, or turn it on, you hear how it's kind of revving weird. Going, oh, something's going on. If I stab it, I think that's a classic sign of not getting enough fuel. Too much air. Now under the lid here, I see the accelerator pump working. Now that could be a vacuum leak as well, but I don't really think so. Because it goes away. Yeah, and now it's not acting up. I kind of think maybe this is my issue. You see how it's like, it's making a 180. It's very pinched here. This is a hard line. It's not rubber, but maybe it is collapsing under load. I think that might be a good bet. Let's get a nice hard 180 that doesn't collapse in the middle. See how that goes. And we'll replace this fuel filter again. So currently on the Spitfire, the fuel line comes from here. This comes from the tank. Hits this filter, and then it does a sharp 180 to the fuel pump, and then it makes its way to the carburetor. So we want to try to eliminate this. I didn't find another 180 degree hose, so let's see if we can route this in a different way to prevent this 180 degree going on. Okay, cold started pretty well actually. We have fuel flowing. So I still have a little bit of a loop, but I left more slack in it so it shouldn't collapse. I opened up the other hose, and yeah, it's definitely, it has the possibility of being pinched. I don't know for sure, but good chance it probably was. So we'll warm this up, take it for another drive, see how it does. So it happened again, but I think I found the issue. Let's take a look. There's not much fuel flowing at all. So the feed line that goes here all the way back to the tank, that's before the pressure regulator. So the fuel pump pumps and then it outputs to the pressure regulator where it lowers the pressure to less than 5 psi for the Weber. But there should be a lot more juice coming out of this pump, and there's just not. And it seems like sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe the pump is going bad. Well, this car is getting low on gas. We are about 1/8 of a tank, so that should still be plenty. I can shut it off now. That should still be plenty to pump gas out. I think I have some extra gas. I'm gonna put some extra gas in it just to make sure that maybe the gauge isn't wrong. I don't think it is. Highly doubt that. This pump is being a little suspect here. After some rigging, I thought maybe we're having low fuel pressure because it's mounted up high. You know, this is a pole style pump, and this is pretty far away from the tank. You know, they're not designed to do this, but in practice they actually do work okay. Now I'm only getting about 3 psi with it on the ground. I haven't tried with it mounted up. I was using my fuel injection tester, but you know, the lowest readable dot is 10, so this was not even registering. Really weird that this pump would only put out 3 psi. And some searching, and this is a Carter universal fuel pump, and it's only supposed to output about max of 3 psi, so looks like it is doing its job. This is probably not the issue then. Okay, so I changed up where the fuel filter mounts. I drilled a hole here, and it kind of pained me to do that because I hate drilling holes into something that didn't have holes, but I think this fits. This makes a whole lot more sense than doing a 180. Now there's no kinks in the line. You know, this is a hard rubber line. This is not gonna kink up with this kind of angle, and then this is perfect. So I think this is gonna at least solve any kinking issues or lack of fuel pressure. We only get 3 psi out of this pump, but there's a fuel pressure regulator on it. I don't know why you would put a fuel pressure regulator if you put a fuel pump that already limits the psi. Oh well, let's drive it, see how it does. Okay, twice now it's died on me. After a hard pull, getting off the gas, it starts popping like it's backfiring, and then the car dies, and it's not going to start again unless I tap the gas. I'll turn the key. Well, prove me wrong, but well, I just had some lunch, took a break, came back, decided to spray the intake manifold to check for vacuum leaks. I guess it's pretty common with this Weber intake manifold to have leaks. So watch what happens when I spray right here in this corner. the idle's changing. Not over here, not over there, only in this spot. That idle's definitely changing. There's a leak. Yeah, I could totally kill it like that. Wow. Okay, the Spitfire has been all torn apart is the next day, and I got the intake off, and I think we can clearly see where our leak was. So right here, there's a little bit of some black. Now, when we look over here, this corner, this far left corner looks a little bit flatter or roughed up than everything else. And it's a little bit oily too, which is just evidence of the leak exiting the sealed intake or air entering the sealed intake. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that's where the leak is. Now, because that part is a little bit messed up, I think I'm gonna play it safe and just order a whole new gasket here. That means I'm gonna have to drop the exhaust manifold off, but to get the intake off, you have to take off basically the exhaust. I mean, I loosened all the bolts. As you see, if you're not familiar with these British cars, they have these little football things that they call it. So they bolt onto one stud, but they tighten both the exhaust and the intake, this little football thing. So pretty interesting. And if you don't get them perfectly flat, they aren't going to line up well. And speaking of flat, look at this. This one has a little dimple in it, and this one's flat. I don't know, but let's take a look at this other one. Same thing. Interesting. So I'll play around with it. I'm going to order up a new gasket. I'm definitely going to use sealer between the manifold and the gasket itself just to help it seal. Okay, so intake's off, exhaust bolts are off, it was just two left. So now I'm just going to slide this out of the way. Let's wiggle this gasket out of here. See if we can pull this out without taking the whole exhaust off. And we can. Okay, so there's the old manifold. Okay, so we can see that it looks like there was a bit of an exhaust leak between these two exhaust valves. It's real flat here. So the actual leak that we had, and I'll show you the new gasket I got, this Payan, I think. Perfect match, so we're good there. But so it was leaking right in this corner when I sprayed. And if you can see, it's kind of clean. It looks like there's marks. It doesn't look flat. We can actually see an indentation going along and then just stopped. So it wasn't clamped down quite enough. That was our issue there. And then again on the back you can see this spot is clean compared to the other spots that actually got clamped down. So let's give this a go with better clamping. Everything is reassembled. I used some RTV on the intake manifold side. So where the intake manifold seals, it has a little bit of that RTV, just a tiny bit will help it seal. But I started up already, sprayed some brake clean, and idle stayed the same, so no leaks so far. We just let it heat cycle, so now I'm going to go around and snug up the bolts once again. Now, important thing to know is these little footballs, at least these ones, they have, one side has an indent, one side doesn't. So whatever side has the indent should go on the side that is thinner. So in this case, they're pretty similar, but the intake manifold is a little bit thicker than the exhaust manifold. So we just want to line them up. We want them to clamp evenly, but most importantly on the intake manifold. a slight exhaust leak, not the end of the world. Intake manifold leak, you're gonna have hard tuning issues, just like I did. So, bolts have been tightened down. Yeah, and I had a little bit of an exhaust leak, so tightening that up, got rid of that. Yeah, that's good. We're idling nice and good, a little high. Let's turn that down. So this carb's gonna need a bit of an adjustment for sure, but it should be pretty close. Idling just over 1,000, so let's bring this down to a more reasonable. Oh, we're on the choke right now. Okay. There we go. That's off the choke. Now we're just under 1,000. We're like 750. A little bit of a bumpy idle, so I'll just kick it up to about there. That's where it smooths out. That seems to be the best spot. And there we go, about an 800, 900 RPM idle. Now let's get the brake clean. Let's spray it. We got a new can of brake clean. So I'll spray this in the corners because that seems to be the most likely spots where the footballs are. Nothing. 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 And this was where it leaked before. Nothing. Nothing. We took care of the leaks, new intake manifold / exhaust gasket, and then a little bit of RTV on the intake side, and that's good. You know, I didn't put anything where the gas goes to the head because the head is flat, the gas is flat. That should be true. And the other big difference is the footballs, I lined them up. They're pretty much flat now. They're making better contact, basically. This is the only one that's not flat, but it kind of can't be. That one's not flat either, but it's putting most of its pressure on the intake, which is exactly what I want. This one is lined up perfectly. And the two on the bottom, I snugged up real good, and I don't think they were snugged up that well before. And I think that might have been a lot of the issue. But after a new set of gaskets, a little bit of RGB, some strategic tightening, I think we're good. Now, I don't have time to take this for another drive, but in the next one, we'll prove if this is the fix and if the Spitfire is finally good to go and reliable, or if there's something else. Whatever it is, we'll find it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.